Welcome back to school. Specifically, welcome to 4th grade. My name is Mrs. Wendt, and I am just so thrilled to be a part of your journey here at Southwest Chicago Christian School. I know that there might be a lot of information given, so I wanted to make a link to this video as well as upload the PowerPoint to on campus so that if there was information that you missed or that I went through quickly, you could go back and watch it if you chose to. Again, my name is Bethany Wendt. I am married to Jay. We have 3 kids who are all on Oak Lawn campus this year. Ellie is in 3rd grade, Wyatt is in 1st grade, and our son Grayson is in preschool. We really enjoy being part of the homeschool church community in lots of different capacities. The profile of a graduate are characteristics of students that we hope they have embedded in them after they graduate Southwest. In every single lesson that I plan, I intentionally try to think how each lesson might make a 4th grader a follower of Christ, how a 4th grader becomes a seeker of knowledge. 4th grade is my favorite grade because they are learning to read in younger grades, and in 4th grade, they're really reading to learn. So it's unbelievable to watch how their minds are expanding and how they're gaining their independence and becoming real seekers of knowledge. A pursuer of justice and also a caretaker of creation are also on my mind as I consider each lesson that I teach. Here's our daily schedule. I just wanted to point out a few things. It's pretty self-explanatory as it's laid out here, but T1, T2, and T3, those signify the different trimesters. So if you notice on Tuesdays, we have art for 1st and 2nd trimester, and then when we get to trimester 3, we'll have Spanish with Mrs. Boltice. I also wanted to point out that on Wednesdays, it is week 2, so we have computers every other week in week 2. So you might not hear about computers every Wednesday, it's every other. As a school, we have adopted and talked about STAR expectations and what that looks like in different areas of our school. Here is the classroom list of STAR expectations. And the STAR acronym stands for Safety, Taking Responsibility, Attitude of a Christian, and Respect. And so this is what safety looks like in our classroom. This is what taking responsibility looks like in our classroom. This is what it looks like to have the attitude of a Christian within our classroom, and what being respectful looks like. We've talked about this quite a bit. We have acted these out. We have gone over them several times and in different scenarios. And the kids really understand what the rules are and what the expectations are for each location of our classroom, or each location of our school rather, including the classroom, gym, chapel, STEM lab, music, art room, computer rooms, and other areas, including hallway and bathroom behavior. As a school, we have also implemented responsive classroom, and you may have heard about this before, but in 4th grade it looks a little bit different. I use the responsive classroom discipline framework, and this is a little bit different than in years before because they have typically used public discipline system. And responsive classroom's idea or thought about that is that kiddos who continuously lose points or are placed on red or have their name written on the board are publicly humiliated. And for many, that experience increases the negative behavior. Some children who are consistently on green or blue do not enjoy being pointed out and are embarrassed when their good behavior is publicly recognized. Other students find it difficult to maintain the elusive standard of good behavior and will lie or cheat to keep their points to stay on green. People who use those discipline systems, those systems work well, but really those are more short-term behavior systems. What classroom management in the responsive classroom discipline framework looks like is that it is not a punitive system. So I use the 3 R's of teaching language. So reinforcing, so constantly reinforcing language when a student behaves positively. So complimenting student behavior. Reminding language when a student is getting or about to go off course. And nonverbal cues when a child behaves in a problematic way are all examples of how I would manage our kiddos while they're in 4th grade. That's not to say that there are no consequences in 4th grade. Here are some examples of what I would do if a student misbehaves and what the logical consequence might be. So for example, if a kiddo is rushing through their work, they might have to then redo the work, this time doing their best and taking their time. So that might be right when I'm asking them to do it, or at lunch while they're eating, or at home perhaps, right? A time that's not super convenient to them. Okay, so the outcome that you'd like is the completed work, their completed best work. And so if you're getting that, then that's the goal, right? It's not to take away a whole recess or to discipline publicly in front of other students. So this is examples. This is the cheat sheet that I like to share, but certainly you can't list every single student behavior. So I just use the star expectations, and then any behavior that is unexpected or outside the parameters of that expected behavior is dealt with a logical consequence. And sometimes that might be a think sheet that they fill out and get sent home. Moving on to testing, we test 3 times per year. In math, we test for reading, math, and language, and I use that information to make win groups. Win groups stands for what I need. So I really am looking at how I can best serve your kiddos. So if you are a kiddo who's struggling in reading but doing really above and beyond in math, I want to really teach you at your level in reading and give you more challenging things in math. So that I always say you don't want it to be too hard and you don't want it to be easy. It has to be what I call just right work. In 4th grade, we have a grading policy where we use letter grades A through F on the report card. As we move towards standards-based grading, you will see a 1, 2, 3, and 4 on the report card under each standard. This reflects the mastery of that particular standard. So for example, you might see a math grade of an A overall. But then underneath that, you might see rounding, and that your kiddo might have a 4 in that, which means they've mastered it and they've done a really great job in rounding specifically. But in math fact fluency, if your child makes mistakes when they're doing their fact fluency, or if they make errors often while they're doing addition and subtraction, specifically with division and things like that as we get farther along, if their errors cause them to get incorrect answers, then they would get a 2 or a 1 for fact fluency, but they might still be able to get that A overall. So what we're really trying to do is give you specific information about where your child is mastering, what standards they're mastering, and what standards we can work together with to improve. Your child you will still see the check plus and check minus under the character traits and homeroom traits. So those are things like outside reading. Those are things like doing, is respectful to adults, and character, Christ-like character traits. In 4th grade, this is a kind of another big change. I do not grade homework because I think it's practice, right? So every day I ask kids, was that good? Was it hard? Was it easy? Sometimes I'll say on a scale of 1 to 5, how hard was that? And I check in with each kid verbally in the mornings when I ask them for homework. When they complete their homework, they get a sticker for their homework chart. And once the chart is filled, they can redeem that for a prize. I know that sometimes kids forget homework, and again, the logical thing to me is that I would like them to do the homework because it's important to understand what they're doing, and so I can check in with them if they need help with a skill that's been taught. So I do allow them to turn in their homework up to 2 days after the fact for a sticker still, so it's without consequence. I think this is really important too in teaching kids that it's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to forget your homework, and that we extend, or I extend, that grace in that homework policy. Here's our curriculum, and this will all be in the PowerPoint that's available to you. In Bible, we start in Philippians and then do a review, creation through Joshua, and then we go straight Judges through Isaiah. We also do language. Daily language is each morning, and language usage will mostly be reinforced during the writing process for application. For reading, and this is really confusing, and I really hope that you will check your child's planner so that you can see exactly what's expected of them each day. They have a Wonders curriculum is what we use for reading, and it goes from units 1 to 6, and each unit has 5 weeks. So for the weekly passages, you might see Unit 1, Week 1 on the homework. Every week, you're going to get 2 passages to read. These are to prepare for the test and essay questions on Friday. Check your child's planner each night and also the newsletter on campus to specifically know what to do each night with those passages. For writing, we use the Wonders curriculum to supplement what we're learning about in reading so that it's a more cohesive program. Each unit, we will work on a different style of writing. We start with a personal narrative in Unit 1. We talk about explanatory essays, opinion essays, fictional narratives. We do a lot of writing for our research report, which is our state project, and then we also create our own stories for young authors at Trinity Christian College. For math, we start with place value, addition, multiplication and geometry, fractions and decimals, multi-digit multiplication, fraction and mixed numbers, angles, and then multiplication of fractions. It is absolutely imperative that your child understands fact fluency and can quickly and efficiently say their math facts so that they are not spending time trying to figure out basic facts like 2 times 3 or 7 times 4, because it is going to get increasingly more challenging. So you want to make sure that your child is practicing their math facts. And I do have a link at the very end for some websites that are really effective for that purpose. For science, 2 years ago, we adopted the Smithsonian science curriculum. It has 4 units. It's a lot of hands-on science. And we talk about physical science, we talk about engineering, earth and space science, and life science. And each unit asks us to focus on one question that we really delve into and try to understand. For social studies, we explore the United States. We are spending some time learning about maps and what that looks like. We talk about United States government, and then we really spend time going into each region. Students will memorize the state capitals, and we will take a trip to Springfield when we are studying the Midwest. We have some new teachers this year for our specials. Mr. Blackman is the computer teacher, and Mrs. Clevering is the art teacher. If you see them, make sure you welcome them to our campus. Thank you so much for bringing all your school supplies on drop-in night. I just wanted to make a special note that oftentimes kiddos will need crayons or colored pencils at home as well to complete some of their homework. And they're certainly welcome to take home their crayons and things, but it really would be convenient if they had some crayons and colored pencils at home as well. Like I said, we do a couple field trips. We usually do Springfield in 4th grade, and I'm really hoping that still is available to us. I'm hoping to go to Irons Oaks and also to ComEd when we're talking about how we heat homes in winter. I am looking for some parent volunteers specifically for Springfield if you would like to help plan that. Included in this PowerPoint are helpful websites that would help your child specifically in math and reading, and links directly to the math and reading curriculum. I wanted to make sure that you knew that on Class Dojo there is a news feed that gives some great insight into our class in any given time. Please make sure that you sign up for that. Here is my contact information, and I hope to hear from you with any questions or concerns that you might have throughout the year.